Alright, good evening, fellow mortals. It looks like we're only 9 minutes late. Let's see.
It felt like half an hour. He said that when he was. Oh my god. That's a full 50 minutes. That's crazy. Cool. Oh, hey, our card.
Hello, Scuter.
Yeah, we had a good time with the drunk driving stuff, but we're back at it again. You should be able to do it. Hey, our card, we can hear you now. Just, we're setting up this stage sort of thing, so it's a little more moderated.
It's fun. Okay, it's funny how I had to be invited to speak at something that I own, but...
I understand, like, you're not too familiar with Discord.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able, like, you're the owner of the server, you should be able to do all that yourself.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's why it's funny.
Yeah. But we're in a good spot now. And if anyone in the audience wants to join, they do have the perms, I think, but I think it'll go alright.
Cool.
Because last time everyone was able to speak up, there were some really rough moments, and when it got late, things got really tense. We were all really tired.
It definitely became increasingly clusterfuckish.
Oh, yeah. I'm in a good mood, though. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I'm in a pretty good mood myself.
Hell yeah.
So, just to let me get this straight in my mind before we get started, just to make sure I'm not fucking hallucinating, you're claiming that you're gonna take the stance in favor of drunk driving in this debate?
Yes, 100%. That is what I believe. Hey man, I hear you, but you'd be surprised how much
it feels like it really. I mean, I can honestly tell you this is like maybe one of the only times in my life I've ever experienced the sensation of like truly winning a debate without trying at all. But
hey man, I think you're feeling pretty confident, and I'm all right too. I'm in a good mood though.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, is the stream going?
Oh yeah, we're live. I made sure to go live right before I clicked into the voice chat. So.
Oh, I don't see it on the video list.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me make.
Oh man, if we just don't record, that would suck so much.
You're taking the affirmative stance, so I'll let you begin.
All right, I will go on with sort of an opening statement.
Sure.
I just need to find my notes. There we go. Okay. I got my beers right here with me. Awesome. So, I come here to spread the message that, quite frankly, God, I think, wants me to send. When I say that drunk driving has been unfairly vilified and, in fact, has a lot of benefits to it. Oh, sorry, hold on.
Just as a disclaimer, folks, drunk driving is bad and you should never do it.
Sorry for that small disruption right at the very start of the first thing I said. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good.
So basically, what I'm here to advocate for is pretty simple. Drunk driving is not as bad as they make it out to be. Drunk drivers have a place on the road. They are discriminated against by the police. And quite frankly, drunk driving is not haram in any sense, right? These are some of the big positions that I want to get right out of the gate. And that's what I'm going to be arguing. In fact, drunk driving is already pretty common. About a third of Americans went drunk driving just last month, and there's polling to back that up. across sort of a lifetime span, about half of Americans have admitted to drunk driving. Like, that's just kind of a normal part of society. But it's mostly underground. You wouldn't know about it if you hadn't read all the media reports and everything that the police tell you, the state. It's all very different from what the truth is. And the truth is what I'm telling you now. So, at a very basic level, some of the stuff I'm saying is a priori. It is irrefutable. And we all know it in our hearts. Drunk driving is not that bad. It's actually quite enjoyable. Who doesn't want to get drunk and then have some fun on their four wheels? Everybody at a subconscious level is kind of aware of this fact. We're just simply not ready to admit it. It's been suppressed by the devil and by the state, which is its agent. Very important stuff we need to remember when we talk about this stuff. There's a few other things I want to note. For one, I want to talk about alcohol and intelligence. As it turns out, there have been a number of studies conducted on this, and all of them point in the same general direction. If you regularly consume alcohol, that correlates with a higher IQ, right? And they've done plenty of studies on it. So, what you conclude is either that alcohol makes people smarter, or smart people drink regular alcohol, right? And then you have to consider another fact, which is that in the Quran, Surat Al-Nahl, sorry for butchering that, 1667, it says, "And from the fruits of the palm trees and grapevines, take intoxicant and good provision. Indeed, and that is a sign for a people who reason." So from what we can tell here is that drunk driving is not haram. It is in fact encouraged by God, or by Allah if you may. So that's sort of my opening statement. I did touch on some of the religious aspects. I think it's all very important. That is what we're doing. Awesome. So, go ahead.
Okay. I shall reply to that with a brief statement and then a terse question. Okay? So first to the brief statement. Brief statement is, it's extremely, extremely bad and wrong and immoral to drink and drive, or drive while under the influence of any mind-influencing drugs or any performance-influencing drugs in any way. Essentially, unless you feel totally stone cold sober, you definitely should not be behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. Period. Okay, that's the statement. Okay, and that's 100% objectively true, and I will stand by that statement till the day I die. Okay, now the terse question is, let me remember it real quick. Give me a second.
Yeah, take your time.
Is there anything that you don't consider it acceptable to do behind the wheel of a car while you're driving it?
Yes, of course. Plenty of things.
Oh, like what?
I think you should be paying attention to the road. If you are not paying attention, that is a problem, right? So for example, if you're being regularly distracted by phone usage on the road, that is wrong. But
okay, let me stop you there. Yeah. So you do believe that it's wrong to text and drive?
Yeah, I think it's very dangerous.
Okay. So you would take the anti-texting and driving position in a debate then, right?
Yes, but with an important piece of nuance.
Spell out the nuance for me, Scuter.
Right? I expect people to take this into their own hands. It is their personal responsibility to keep themselves safe from the road. Keep themselves right.
Why isn't it your personal responsibility to keep yourself safe from people that want to murder you?
Of course it is your personal responsibility, as is society's responsibility. Self-defense is a great example
Wait,
of how
what is it?
responsibility.
Wait, which one is it? Is it your personal responsibility or society's responsibility?
Why must it be one or the other? We both. We have
Which one is it?
um,
No, it's one. It has to be one primarily, right?
not necessarily.
Oh, you don't agree that everything has to have one aspect of it that's the primary aspect?
It can be contextual or some situations.
What?
Both are equally
We're
important.
both sharing the same context right now, so that's irrelevant.
We're talking in general terms. We're not talking
That's the context that we're sharing. General terms.
Yes. So in general terms, sometimes one might matter more than the other. Sometimes they both matter equally. Sometimes we can't really tell.
Which two things?
Sometimes no. In this context, we're talking what personal responsibility and social, broader societal responsibility. So those are the two things that we'll be balancing out.
So you don't have so you can't answer the question of which one is more responsible for protecting you from people who want to murder you, given the given the options, you or society.
I have answered the question. It can be contextual. It can be one or the other.
No, I mean in the broadest terms.
In the broadest terms, it depends.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't depend. In the broadest terms, it's objectively society that's more responsible because that's the way our current society is structured. If we did away with the laws against murder, then it would change to a situation where you are primarily responsible and your family are primarily responsible.
So let's apply this to the topic of drunk driving. Do you believe that it would be society's responsibility to prevent drunk drivers from driving on the road?
Of course, that's why I support the laws against drunk driving, unlike you.
Okay. And I have a few problems with this law besides morality. We can get into that later.
Okay.
But let's start with something a little preemptive. Before the driver even gets on the road, we have to talk about where they get drunk. They get drunk at a bar or at a restaurant. Sometimes it's accidental, sometimes it's fully intentional. And they just didn't think it through later. Would you say that these bars should be held responsible as a part of society that allowed for any individual to get drunk, like get in a car and get in a car accident?
Sorry, repeat your question again. My face was distracting me.
Hey, I understand. So, let's go a bit before the driver even gets in the car. Let's say they get drunk at a bar. Should the bar be held responsible as a part of society for not playing its role in the collective safety of everyone? As this bar enables people to get drunk and then drive.
Yeah, it should be held. It should be held responsible, but it already is. It shouldn't be held legally responsible.
So no legal recourse for a bar that happens to have somebody who gets drunk and then happens to get in the car accident, correct? But social backlash could play a role.
I'm sure there are exceptions that would prove the rule, but yes.
Okay. I would like to harken back to a bar in Colorado, actually quite often the hinterlands of Colorado, between a small town and Boulder. This bar, I was reading about it earlier. Let me see if I can pull it up. Colorado. This might be it. Here we go. So I was reading earlier about a bar called Rocky Flats Lounge. It's in rural Colorado on a 2-lane highway that cuts through the mountains, right?
Okay.
This bar is maybe 15-20 miles away from any other form of civilization. So if you go to that bar and you get drunk, you have to drive, get out of there. There's no taxis, there's no public transportation, it's quite rural. So, in this specific instance, would you say that that bar should be held liable for every single patron who walks out of their store drunk? If not in the legal sense, in any other sense?
Well, no, liable implies a legal sense, so...
Yeah, I understand. if you're thinking of a different sort of approach, I understand.
I would agree that they should have some kind of elevated degree of moral culpability. That I would or not should, but that they simply objectively would. But still wouldn't take the extra step of using legal recourse against them. Probably, if you made the case, extreme enough, obviously there it would be an exception to prove the rule.
Yeah, I also agree with the state not, the state shouldn't have too much of a role in this. Soy Boy Destroyers talks about, well, the state has caused all the problems we have. But that aside, let's say that you were a drunk patron and you just got out of that bar, what exactly would you do? Let's put you in I want to put everyone here in the sort of perspective of that drunk patron. You just walked out of the bar. Now, you have to drive home. Maybe you have someone who could drive for you, but there's a good chance they're drunk as well. Because who goes to a bar and doesn't get drunk?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Go for it.
In this hypothetical, am I forced to drive myself home?
You're not forced to do anything, really. You could just stay at the bar.
Do I have my car?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
That's how else are you going to get there?
Oh, I'm just verifying details of the hypothetical before I tell you what I would do, you see.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to keep going with it.
Oh, well,
So
I would sleep in my car.
Yeah. So we are the drunk driver or the drunk patron who just walked out of the bar. If you had to drive home, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you would sleep in the car, which I understand. And that is something that you would choose to do. But if somebody else, say, tried to drive home, do you think that they would drive slowly, being highly visible, but also being very safe? Visible to police and the like, who will be watching out for suspicious behavior around the bar? Or do you think that person, that drunk driver, would drive very quickly, cutting corners, but staying away from police, staying out of their sight?
It entirely depends on the several factors, namely the capability of the individual, the current mood of the individual, and the current cognitive decline of the individual due to whatever influences are affecting the individual.
So, at certain levels of cognitive decline, the driver would be perfectly capable of driving safely, yes?
Well, you used the P word, so already no.
What's the P word?
Perfectly.
Perfectly capable. Okay. Well, I disagree. I think that, given the standard, given the standard limit of 0.08 blood alcohol content, and how that does not apply to everyone in the same way, as many people have different blood alcohol tolerance levels. Many people can go away with 3 drinks, while only 1 drink suffices for other people, right?
What's your point?
So, even if you are legally drunk, at the 0.08 limit, there's still a great chance that maybe you're one of those people who can still drive perfectly fine and still perfectly in tune with the world, because you have not hit your alcohol tolerance yet, right?
Wait, hold on. You do realize that the average person, even if they drove sober their entire life, which they're not very likely to do, even if they did, would not be likely at all to drive their entire lifetime and never be in a motor vehicle accident. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, it's pretty likely that all of us are going to get in the car someday.
Okay. All right, at least one, right?
Yeah.
Even driving sober, right?
Yeah, of course. In fact, sober drivers are overrepresented in car accidents.
Okay, so any amount of adding some cognitive decline to any percentage of the population, on top of the fact that we're definitely probably each going to be in at least one car accident in our lifetime, is just you're just throwing people's lives onto the fucking fire at that point. So that's why we have laws against it. And
every time you get in the car, you're taking a risk. Maybe you'll get in an accident. Maybe you'll die.
yeah,
That's a risk that everybody takes every time they get inside of a car and choose to drive.
yes, of course we balance everything with a risk reward matrix. Of course. What's your point?
Yes. My point is that we are always putting lives on the table. In that sense, as long as people are driving, we are putting lives at risk.
Right, and I'm telling you, the price for allowing drunk driving is fucking way too high, and that's why we don't allow it.
In fact, drunk driving might be safer than sober driving.
All right, well,
because,
you're wrong about that.
Sober drivers are more likely to get in a car accident, despite making up however many of all the drivers. Sober drivers are responsible for an astonishing 75% of all car accidents. And that's not even accounting for the fact that many of those other car accidents are blamed on drunk drivers.
So I would argue that the majority of the quote sober drivers that you're referring to are just inaccurately categorized drunk drivers that were simply inebriated on their own emotions at the time of the accident, and we're not smart enough as a race of animals to categorize them properly yet.
What do you mean? Like,
hold on, wait a minute.
Drivers being characterized? Are they being misclassified?
Wait, hold on a second, Scooter. Sorry, what?
In order to make the argument he's making, he would not only need the numbers of drunk driving accidents today, but also the numbers of accidents before there were laws against drunk driving, and see a comparison.
Yeah, but
in order to say that it's just as bad or worse for sober drivers, you would have to look at it with when we allow drunk driving.
Right. If I was convinced that he was like
even if it was
serious,
even remotely possible for him to be right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But obviously, there's a reason why we put those laws into place in the first place.
Right. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Scooter.
I didn't quite catch what was being said.
Yeah, she was kind of far away. I don't know if the stream caught it either.
Yeah. I kind of heard it. It was quiet though.
You should come over here and say it again, Deidre, so that he can hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I was just saying, if you wanted to make the argument that driving sober is either just as bad, or I think you said even more dangerous than driving drunk, generally speaking, then you couldn't just have the numbers of drunk driving accidents and things like that after they've outlawed drunk driving. You would also have to have the numbers of accidents before they outlawed drunk driving, and you would have to do a comparison in order for your claim, in order for you to be correct about your claim. They would have to show what you're saying is correct.
Not necessarily. I understand, like, you can measure the effects of a policy by seeing what happens before and after you implement it. But at the same time, we can still see what groups of people are more likely to commit so-and-so, right? So if we compare two populations, the size of the population versus the amount that each one of them does a certain thing, like get in a car accident, we can see which ones are overrepresented, which ones are underrepresented, and thus conclude from that which population are likely to do something.
I guarantee you, sober drivers are overrepresented in today's numbers because drunk driving is illegal. So, for whatever that's worth. But this isn't my debate, so it's whatever.
Very interesting indeed. I do disagree with that as well. If the drunk driving laws really worked, then we would see fewer accidents, and if drunk drivers really were such a scary danger to society, then they would obviously be overrepresented. Really that simple. The fact that sober cucks are way overrepresented by like 10 points in terms of car accidents show that drunk drivers are underrepresented by comparison, and thus they are not the big scary threat that the media and the state has made them out to be.
People
It
like
also shows
people like you,
drunk
people like
drivers
you,
are not a
people like you,
likelihood
people
in
like
an
you,
accident.
people like you incorrectly assume that normal emotion spikes don't properly constitute being high on a drug.
How does that play in? Are you saying that sober drivers can act really rationally on the road? They can have emotion spikes, so on?
No, I'm saying that the accidents that you think are caused by sober people are caused by people who just didn't happen to be drinking alcohol when they were binging on rage or fear or surprise or sleepiness or something.
I can absolutely get into that topic, because the thing is, the police unfairly discriminate against drunk drivers. You see all of these public campaigns about drive sober or get pulled over. You see many people be arrested simply for being drunk in the back of the car. All sorts of crazy things happen. But in the meantime, old people are still perfectly allowed to drive. If you get pulled over for driving recklessly and all you're doing is acting a little sleepy, you're not going to be put into a jail. If you are drunk, you're going to be put into a jail, right? We could talk about all sorts of groups of people who are horrible on the road and who are arguably a massive public safety risk, but which the state simply does not care about. We could talk about cyanide drivers. Cyanide drivers obviously pose
The most retarded talking point of all time, I swear to God.
Well, it's still true. Cyanide drivers out there are very dangerous, yet the police do not prosecute. They have
No, you're just wrong. You're actually just wrong. You're just wrong about everything you're saying.
Well, how am I wrong?
It's just factually, like if you just go look at the facts about reality, they say, oh, actually, no. So what Scuter said, no, that's not true.
If you look at all these...
A source that says that Scuter's wrong. Or even just like an organization name.
LOL. No, I don't feel the need to prove to you that you're worse at driving when you're drunk. It's obvious.
Do Google it.
Well, that's up for grabs in the debate, obviously.
No,
because the
to
fact
me,
is that
me,
that's common knowledge.
No,
It's not a debate
no,
topic.
that's actually been proven, and I don't feel the need to show you the evidence because it's so easily available.
You don't debate common knowledge.
Well, the fact that you were describing it as common knowledge, as something that need not be...
Lots of things used to be common knowledge that were disproven, so that's not a good argument.
Exactly.
Okay, so please Christopher, if you want to debate with him how it's possibly been disproven.
No, I just told them that they're absolutely absurd, ridiculous, unserious, totally unserious people.
I haven't heard them say one thing about how somehow it's been disproven that being under the influence of alcohol does not impair your physical capability. Like if that's still true, then how has it been disproven that it's dangerous to drink and drive? It doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
And not to mention, I've proven it with my own body that it's true, so...
Everyone basically has, if they've ever been under the influence of alcohol.
We can let Jack...
Say what? Yeah. Silence is golden, DJ.
Uh-huh. Right, so as soon as they can prove that, the average person no longer takes any kind of physical hindrances to their it never takes any kind of hindrances to their physical capabilities after multiple drinks of alcohol, then they might be able to start proving why they can drink and drive safely. But if you can't prove that...
Uh-huh. You better, invent a pill that nullifies the effects.
Yeah. Or you better make an argument that humans have gotten so tolerant of it over the years that they no longer feel the effects of alcohol and get physically impaired.
Even though that's not true.
That's just not true.
The simple fact of the matter is that some studies, I have this in my notes, some studies actually show alcohol sharpens the mind. It sharpens your attention. You're able to see more clearly. You're able to respond more. And it's not the same with everyone, but the fact that alcohol automatically just makes everything worse for you is simply not the case.
Okay, but that's not what we're arguing here. We're talking about the average effect on the average individual. We're not talking about...
And it's not about seeing more clearly. It's about, although it definitely affects your vision negatively also, but the main thing is it erodes your motor functions
Yes.
in an unstoppable way. There's no way to be...
You lose your balance, your hand-eye coordination. All of those things take major hits, and they're all necessary in driving.
Your eye hand and eye leg and foot and like literally your in coordination between every part of your body slows the fuck down.
Yeah.
That's simply not.
It's a scientific fact.
I mean, have you not worn the drunk goggles and Dare when you were a kid? Like, how is this debated right now? Did you really not experience Dare as a child, where they were like, okay, try to drive drunk, try to walk on the straight line?
Oh, Deidre, no, that's just conservative government propaganda, Deidre.
Right.
Only sober cucks say that, Deidre.
Unironic.
Oh, he just said unironically.
Okay.
Yeah, I know,
right? Anyway,
meanwhile,
yeah, his study that says for some people it enhances their vision. That's not good enough data to say that drunk driving is no longer dangerous. That's just not.
LOL.
Obviously,
it's a joke. It's not even a funny joke. It's a sad joke.
Yeah.
I think it's really telling that y'all have not provided any sources. Simply what you say is common sense, and then you kind of just laugh it off because you don't
I'd like to provide some counter arguments.
LOL.
No one's stopping you.
Alright,
No one's stopping you.
So you think drunk driving is bad because it impairs people? Is that correct?
I think people should not drive drunk because their physical capabilities are impaired. Yeah, that's definitely one of the reasons, for sure.
Alright, so that's one aspect of your argument. Okay, well, so does sleeping and being hungry and being angry and being distracted not caused by anything you've put in your body.
Yeah, that's why
and it's also wait. Okay, just for the record, when you're really angry and shit, it is illegal for you to drive. Did you know that?
That's not true. You just made
No, that's definitely. I swear. I promise to God.
Google it real quick.
I promise you that's true. No.
Google it then.
No, I know. I don't need to Google it.
Yes, you do.
No,
make a claim, and it's not common knowledge.
No, the source is they fucking told me. The government themselves told me in my mandatory class that they made me take.
I've also been driving classes.
What jurisdiction do you live in, approximately?
You allow...
What, Cincinnati?
It was
Cincinnati?
the class was I took the one I attended what occurred in Dayton.
Okay. Indeed.
Indeed, sir. Indeed.
It's very alarming at them. Would you oppose old people being able to drive because they are on average have slower response times? Would you oppose someone maybe over the age of 80 being able to drive?
No, I support the current laws against people who can no longer pass the driving exam being allowed to legally drive.
Well, the fact of the matter is that if you are over the age of 80, you're way more likely to get in a car accident. You have way slower reaction times on average. So if we applied the logic that we already apply with drunk driving, we would essentially ban everybody who has been alive before the World War.
No,
right?
All we have to do is keep applying the same laws we currently have the way they're written. I think they're pretty good when it comes to the driving exam.
Well, that doesn't rebut what I said, and also the driving exam isn't even that reliable. There's no actual proof, and I've done research on this. There's no actual proof that the driving test leads to any meaningful change.
Okay.
Leads to any meaningful what?
Changes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's absolutely no proof that it doesn't lead to.
Oh, there's definitely proof that it does. As long as there's some data about people getting their driver's license before there was a driver's test versus people getting their driver's license after there was a driver's test, there should be a difference in the amount of car accidents.
That's assuming there were driver's licenses before there was a driving exam.
That is.
The fact of the matter is that they have done studies like that on illegal immigrants in California who were driving around without a driver's license, but they were given the opportunity to have a license. They got the exam, they got their license.
That's not what I described.
Right?
That's not what
and
I
I can send that study too if you want, or you can laugh it off because you know.
No, it's just not relevant.
That's inherently corrupted data because those people, even if they were driving around without a driver's license, they were driving around people with a driver's license, which is how they learned to drive, by taking cues from the people that they were driving around with driver's license. So that is corrupted data. You need data about people who drove before there were ever a driver's license or before there was ever a driver's test. That is the only way you can actually
specifically with illegal immigrants who were driving before they went through the driver's test.
No.
License and after, and that's exactly what you specified earlier.
No, it's not. I said before there ever was a driver's test in establishment, because that changes things. So that is the line that I drew. You're talking about a different line.
That's a very arbitrary distinction which can't realistically be fulfilled.
Oh,
why not? Why
and
not?
cars have all become easier to manage over time. Back in, say, the 30s or 40s, it made a lot more sense.
And first of all, you said arbitrary. Doesn't that mean random? Why would you call that random? That's insulting and wrong.
I think it's insulting that you were wrong, but I can go off about that. But
Okay.
my goal is to approach this in good faith, provide evidence.
Yeah, you think for some reason you think I'm not doing that. All right, whatever.
And just link the study in chat. You can look at it. It's exactly what I was talking about. California and illegal.
I can't hear you. But
or you can
again, this
study.
is not my debate.
Yeah, but it's fun.
No, it's not. This is not fun to me.
Well, then don't participate in it then.
Anyway,
It's
no idea.
Where is that posted? Is that something I did? Oh.
Oh wow.
It's probably just a science
Ultimate.
acronym, sorry. Yeah.
Well, we've currently been live for like 39 minutes, almost 40 minutes.
Okay, I want to get into some...
What did you say you wanted to get into exactly?
Hey, I've done my research on the driver's test. I think the driver's licenses need some serious reform, though they're still obviously used.
Okay, so as far as I can tell, my wife and I have completely destroyed all your ridiculous pro-drunk driving arguments
You didn't even look at
to my complete satisfaction. And so if you don't have anything else you want to say in the next 5 minutes or so, I'll probably just go watch some television with her.
I've got some stuff that's not related to. Alright, so my first thing is just that drowsy driving can be more dangerous than drunk driving, and yet we don't have tests or laws against that. My next is more of a personal freedom thing. I don't personally think that the government should be allowed to tell you that you can't consume something before driving, whether that's alcohol or a fucking apple.
Yawn.
Honestly, the fact of the matter is the government is judging you based on probabilities. There's a higher probability that you get in an accident if so-and-so and so. But we shouldn't base our laws on probabilities. That's tyrannical. We should base our laws...
My next is more of a medical...
It's retarded to say that anything... Wait, it's retarded to say that anything...
What?
No, hold on. It's retarded to say that anything...
What?
It's retarded to say that anything should...
You're retarded.
It's retarded... Hold on. Let me mute you first.
L.
it is retarded to say that anything shouldn't be based on probability. Okay? It's always retarded.
Well, this.
Moment beauty.
I do want to make.
You want to make a what? You're cutting out, Scooter.
Sorry. So I do want to make an extra statement about probabilities. In instances where we have used probabilities, there's been widespread opposition to it. For example, in the case of racial profiling, in which the police target certain ethnic minorities because they assume that
Wait, no, sorry, no, gotta stop you there. There is no logical alternative to using probabilities to determine outcomes.
Do you think that the police are therefore justified in doing racial profiling, just as they profile against drunk drivers specifically?
Did you forget that I said that racism was inherently moral, or what?
Do you think that racial profiling is a logical thing to do, or no?
That's what makes it moral.
So it would be moral. Well, I think we just have a fundamental impasse here, because there is also data that I can provide right now that shows that racial profiling hasn't turned up any special benefits, right? If you go to New York City, for example, the risk program
that's so funny.
Specifically defined gun, but in less than 1% of all stops and searches, they found a gun, right? Less than 1% of all stops and searches, they actually found what they were looking for. And this was largely a sort of racial profiling program. It was clearly ineffective. It's not defensible. It's not logical. So how is it defensible to specifically target and single out drunk drivers when there are so many other groups who do the exact same stuff and pose an even greater threat on the road?
I'm quite certain that you've made some invalid conclusions about some very sus data.
Very sus data, you say. Do you want me to provide it in chat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, hold on. I'm just looking for the sources. Here we go. So, these are two sources about New York City specifically, right? And the devil is in the detail, right? If you look into the details, you'll be able to see, right? So we provide a study and sort of a media report on it. If you want, we can read through these sources and understand where I'm coming from or where I may be wrong. But it is to my understanding that the Stop and Frisk campaign, which involved a lot of racial profiling, was highly ineffective and it wasted a lot of taxpayer money. So it's illogical.
Let me do us both a favor and look over it in my own time tonight, and then we can do this again sometime soon, and I'll walk you through it step by step. How about that?
Okay, Christopher. Is there something else that we want to go over while we're here?
Is there?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't have anything right now, but...
Lucius has something.
Okay.
Do you still have him muted?
Oh. My bad. Hold on.
Oh.
Okay, you're unmuted now.
Yeah. Blood alcohol content doesn't correlate well to how impaired someone is. Two people can have the same blood alcohol content, and one can be obviously drunk, and the other will be fine. It's just a genetics thing. And so
Yawn.
That's the blood. Discriminating against drivers based on their blood alcohol content rather
This is
than
so
their
boring.
performance is just genetic discrimination.
Oh, thank God. So, well, thank God I believe. Thank God that's something I believe in. Next question.
The next one is just that drunk driving laws don't reduce the amount of drunk drivers compared to the cost of enforcing them. The best way to reduce the amount of car accidents and the amount of drunk drivers is to improve public transportation. Drunk driving laws do nothing to provide alternatives to people. So you're just putting someone in a bind. You're setting them up to fail.
So,
No
really.
one smart would
Which
disagree that
I
there should be
suppose
better
you might be
public
fine.
wait, so
transportation,
of
first and
course
foremost.
there should be better things for people. I would be a retard to disagree that people should have better things and more alternatives, and just everything should just generally be better. Okay, that's completely separate from saying that people should be allowed to get high and drunk and get behind the wheel of a car and murder your son and daughter. Okay, totally different.
And the next is just that reporting or drunk driving laws prevent people from seeking treatment rather than preventing them from driving drunk.
You're
So
just gonna brush
they
that
will
off like
simply
water
get
off
better
a
at
duck's
hiding
ass, huh?
It doesn't actually reduce the amount that it happens. People just get better at hiding it.
He's still going. Oh my God.
I know,
He
right?
reminds me of the son from Lincoln.
Yeah.
Because, he would just
Oh, yeah.
go on,
Can't-
like, no matter how much
Can't
he's
listen
interrupted.
to save his life.
No!
Yep.
Our card moment.
It's so good.
Moment beauty.
Anyway, I think they made
Hey, sorry, I was gone for a moment there. Is there anything that I missed?
Well, I gave you guys 3 more minutes than I said I would, so I'm gonna check out that stuff that Scooter sent to the chat, and I'm now gonna go watch television with my naked wife. Okay, bye.
Alright.